Wow. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys might be in this wonderful universe. Um, so you guys are getting ready to get punished. And because we're talking about step five, you can put Steve on your fourth step inventory because he's the one that asked me to do this. So Steve knows, and I love his service and the way he loves Alcoholics Anonymous, even though the uh, compendium is not allied with any particular sect organizations, right? And the same thing our preamble says, but it's the information that's the important. It's it's these 12 spiritual principles that has done something so amazing to my life. It's unimaginable that I would do anything else. And that's my story, right? And I say my full name. I'm not hiding from anybody. I'm Lavelle Deshaun Johnson singing I'm an alcoholic. And I'm an alcoholic who shot drugs, right? I did a whole lot of other things. I've had a whole lot of crazy experiences that landed me here with you, sisters and brothers. And I've been asked to come and talk about step five. And it's funny. The day before when I was asked to do this, I literally just got done doing a fifth step with a young lady that I sponsored. And and I know today I'm going to talk about some things that a lot of people going to have their disagreements with. Your mind might get shut off when you hear me talking, but I only follow our literature. I don't do the men should be with men, women should be with women. I don't I sponsor human beings. I sponsor the human nature, right? I sponsor the very individual that's sick enough that their spirit is longing for a solution. That's what I sponsor. And I was fortunate when I came into Alcoholics Anonymous, my sponsor guided me in the same way. And I do have a sobriety date. I need to tell you guys that because and my sponsor is talking to me right now. And I know, yeah, I'm in the truck by myself. And yes, Aaron, I am a little off base sometimes, right? Aaron's like, wait a minute, his sponsor's talking to him. Where is he? Look, right here in my head. And I always say, if you have a sponsor that you cannot hear, even when they're not around, it's probably time to change sponsors. I need to always have somebody in my life that I can hear, even when they're not available. I need to have that. I need to have somebody's directions and voice that's louder than mine. Because most of the time, I'm always in that position where my decisions, my thoughts, my desires of myself are always instructing me to do something that's going to put me in danger, that's going to put me in, it's going to do what the bedevilments talk about on page 52 of the big book. It's going to have me prey to misery and depression. It's going to have me having problems with personal relationships. I'm going to not be a real help to anybody. That's what I'm going to be in, with my own thoughts and perceptions of things, right? So you guys have done something to, with, and for me that has been amazing. And let me tell you how I got to this thing, right? And how the fifth step is so important in my life. Now, obviously, the fifth step is meaningless if I haven't done the other four. And I'm going to share a little information that's going to be maybe contrary to the way you've been taught, or the way your sponsor sponsored you. And the only reason I'm going to have this information, because I hear it a lot of times in Alcoholics Anonymous, so much information is contrary to what our 12 steps in AA are about today. But steps 1 and 2 are not workable steps. Bill W. says that. Bill says it in the 12 and 12. He says steps 1 and 2 are reflection. They do not require action. They only require acceptance. See, the first step I come in and I worked my first step before I got here. Understanding my powerlessness, right? Coming into things that my life was unmanageable, right? The unmanageability is why I drank. I hear a lot of people that, well, I had this tragic happen in my life and these things happened to me. And none of that stuff that happened to me is why I'm an alcoholic. What happened to me, the reason I'm an alcoholic is I drank too much. Right? The reason I'm a drug addict is because I got high too much, right? I did too much, too long, too often. That's why I'm here. That's it. Nothing, not because I was put on the toilet stool backwards, not because I got a spanking, not because my mother didn't like me. None of that stuff was, everything that happened was because of the way I felt, because of the way my feelings and emotions attacked me. And that's right in the fourth step in the 12 and 12. Bill says that we're victimized by our erratic emotions. The doctor's opinion, it says that men and women drink essentially because they like the effects produced by alcohol. The sensation is so elusive that even though they admit it's injurious, even though I admit these things are injuring me, even though I admit that I am a crash test dummy deluxe, right? Like I'm a still in case cue ball knucklehead, right? Larissa, I know you understand, right? Out there in Colorado, right? I am an outright mental defective in full flight from reality, sober. See, that's the thing that my sponsor had to give me. That's what the fifth step is about. Getting that understanding of how I will. My sponsor said I'll mess up a crowbar, right? Like my sponsor gets on my nerves. I don't know about y'all, but I got this little guy that always saying stuff that I just be wanting to say. See, I came into Alcoholics Anonymous, and I came into my great grand sponsor used to always say, I remember my first couple of meetings, and I was suggested to go to his meeting. It was he chaired it, and not his meeting, but he chaired a meeting at the Mustard Seed in Chicago, and I'm sitting there listening, and this guy, he was short guy with this long beard. He looked like Yoda, right? and I'm like, and he started doing. He did this 5 to 7 minute meditation before the meeting even started. He would stand up in front of the group and do this breathing exercise and do all this stretching and do all this stuff. And then I'm like, okay, why am I sitting here listening to this? I just came here to stop drinking. This guy, I don't know what's going on with him, right? And he said, he started to talk about why he doesn't use profanity. And then he started to talk about how the spiritual principles has changed his life. And he said this, he said, profanity is a strong expression of a weak mind attempting to express itself. I said, your mama, right? Because I couldn't curse, right? I just, like, I wanted to, I'm like, yo mama, how dare you? Now here it is, mind you, I'm 30 years old. I'm new to Alcoholics Anonymous. I come in with all, I've got a master's degree in mathematics and English. I'm educated, right? I got all this education, and I use all these curse words and profanity. How dare you tell me that what do you mean? The strong expression of a weak mind attempting to express itself. You mean when I use these words that are demeaning, that are derogatory, when I use these words, see, because I need to use these words to emphasize what I'm saying. The reality is I use those words because I don't have the right words to use to articulate the very thing that you guys are telling me. And I remember him saying that, and then after that, at the end of the meeting, like I just knew I was going to comment at the meeting because I was going to raise my hand and say something, right? I was going to speak. I was just going to say something, Aaron. I was going I listen. I was going to pontificate on everything that he had said, right? See, I had this great, like I had all this information in my head that I was gonna say once he got done talking. Like it was just I knew that I knew what I knew when I knew that I knew that I didn't even know. My sponsor helped me to understand through this fish that I'm a smart dummy, right? Now let me tell you how he did this. And he did this in such a nice and like he tricked me into understanding I just need to shut my mouth. See, my sponsor, okay, I hear you, David. David's telling me to stop running my mouth and tell you guys about my date. My sobriety date is November 12th, 2001. And let me tell you, I don't have that date because I had this overwhelming understanding of, life needs to change and I just need to get help. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to give myself over to, see, I'm not like you, Thomas. I didn't come in with all this understanding of how to surrender, right? The moment that things changed in my life And you guys have given me the right words to articulate this today. Before coming here, I didn't have the word. And today I understand that the universe was conspiring on my behalf without my permission to save my life. That's what happened. I wish I could tell you, man, I showed up somewhere and I just surrendered. I said it was time to come in and life was going to change for me because I knew I was having these problems and issues. And I just knew I needed to change because everybody around me was telling me that. You know, Big Book says a miracle or moral and a better philosophy of life were sufficient. Many of us would have sobered long ago. If it was just about having a God of my understanding, if it was just about going to church, if it was just about prayer, if it was just about listening to good directions and guidance, I wouldn't be here. If that's all that it was, I wouldn't be here. I suffer. I didn't used to. I still do. I suffer from a spiritual disease. And then you guys presented me with something. You said, listen, you said, well, here we know you have a problem. I said, okay, y'all got me. And I didn't just say, okay, y'all got me. I sat in a cell in DuPage County Jail, and a guy brought me. I'm so grateful for H&I. It's hospitals and institutions in the Chicagoland area. It's service work. And this guy, Art is still involved in service work at that county jail right now to this day. He gave me my first Big Book. And let me tell you, they told us that this if you go to this AA class, that you would be let out of the cell, right? Yeah, Aaron, the AA class, right? I'm so glad I stayed around to find out there's no such thing, right? But this is what happened, Nelly. So I just wanted to get out of this. I just wanted to get off the deck. I wanted to get away from all the other chaos and confusion that the guys were always fighting. You know, these guys are fighting over cookies. These guys are fighting over the TV, the phone. So I just wanted to escape. Just wanted to get away. Same thing drugs and alcohol were for me. A way to escape. I always just wanted to get away. I just didn't want to feel the way I was feeling. Right. And I was always trying to escape. And this particular time, I escaped right into a solution. I escaped right into the loving arms of you, sisters and brothers. I escaped into something that did to within for me that has never been able to be done before. And I belong to a lot of stuff. I belong to a lot of organizations. I belong to a lot of churches, mosques, temples. I was a Black Hebrew Israelite. I was a Christian, a Muslim. I've been dipped, dunked, and almost drowned trying to get to this spiritual launching pad. You understand me, right, Ali? Trying to get there. Look, I was trying to get there. I took every imaginable substance to try and get me away from this thing called life. And I was not trying to kill myself. I know we hear this thing, and I was trying to commit suicide on a daily basis. No, when I drank and got high, I was trying to escape those feelings and emotions. Bill talked about that. He said we're victimized by erratic emotions and the fourth step in the 12 and 12. I was trying to stop being a victim of that very thing that was taking over my life, the very essence of me being snuffed out. And I had all these wonderful experiences in my life. You know, going to college, I was educated very early. By the time I was 14 years old, I was a freshman in college. I had my first degree at the age of 18. 19 years old, I was in the military. I traveled the country. I've been to 48 states and 3 countries. I've lived all over the place. I served in a war. Like, I've had all these things happen to me before I made it to Alcoholics Anonymous. And then some of the other things that happened outside of all those great experiences I had in my life, outside of those wonderful things that happened in my life, I also had those things that happened where I came back to the city of Chicago, and I was just going to find myself, right? I was going to take a year off just to find myself. And I found myself in hospitals, jails, right? like I found myself in, look, now, kicking. I don't understand why y'all call them things straitjackets. Now, let me tell you, the first time I tried to commit suicide, they had me in this place, right? Don't be laughing at me, Aaron. So I was in this place, and y'all call them straitjackets. But ain't nothing, look, ain't nothing straight about, look, it wasn't nothing straight about that jacket, right? It had me straight locked up. And I was in padded rooms. because they were trying to keep me from harming myself. And it wasn't because I was getting high, it was because I took enough pills to kill me. And my mother had to rush me to the hospital to get my stomach pumped. The next time I tried to commit suicide, because of the loneliness, the despair, the disconnect from the very source that has saved my life, I put a gun to my head and I pulled the trigger several times and it wouldn't go off. And I felt so defeated, so lost, so unconnected to anything. I didn't drink and get high because I just wanted to. I was trying to escape reality. There's a song by a group called the Commodores. Lionel Richie was the lead singer of this group, and the song, I'm not going to embarrass myself and try and sing so y'all can laugh at me, but I'm going to say the words, right? Zoom. And some of the words, the name of the song is called Zoom. And the words would say, Zoom, I like to fly far away from here, where my mind can be fresh and clear. That's all I ever wanted to do. I just wanted to stop disappointing people. I wanted to stop being a loser. I wanted to stop being, and that was all in my mind. The problem centered in my mind rather than in my body, because I was always feeling that here I am. I'm this guy who's exceeded these educational programs. I'm this guy who's shown great experiences in the military. I was, Bill says in Bill's story, did not the men in my battery, I fancied myself a leader. Did not the men in my battery make me think so, right? I thought I was a leader because everybody around me always championed me. Everybody around me always clapped and loved me, right? But it was something that was inside of me that always felt, I don't want to say less than, I always felt, ugh. We always hear people say, I felt this, I just felt, ugh. I didn't know if I didn't know if I was better than or less than. I just didn't know. And I was always trying to find a way out. I heard a guy just the other day, and most people always talk, man, when I drank, I got tall and I was handsome and listen, when I drank, I was still short, I was still ugly, and I still couldn't dance, right? Nothing changed about the way I looked. Nothing changed about my height. Nothing changed about me being able to dance. What happened was, when I drank and got high, I was able to escape momentarily. I was just able to feel different. I didn't feel better. I felt different. My sponsor says I can take something to feel different or do something to feel better. Wow. See, I could take something to make me escape the realities of life, or I can do something to make me feel better, which are the 12 steps. These things in my life make me feel so much better. You guys have plugged me into the source and gave me such an understanding, love and kind and tolerance that, like, listen, you guys are like, y'all are my Campbell soup. I don't know if you ever seen this commercial, Campbell soup. You guys are like Campbell soup to me. The AA is good, right? It just deep down in your soul, it just feels so good, right? It tastes like so after getting through all this stuff, you guys told me something right in the big book. You said I had two alternatives. One was to go on to the bitter end, blotting out the consciousness of my intolerable situation as best I could, or accept spiritual help. Two unpleasing, two contrasting things to a person who's trying to escape reality. Both seem impossible. Both of them. Because I see myself in the midst of what's going on. I don't want to feel the way I'm feeling. I don't want to continuously be miserable. I don't want to, but I also don't want to accept spiritual help, because that sounds like both distasteful alternatives for a person of my type that's still practicing my way of life. Go on to the bitter end, blotting out the consciousness of my intolerable situation as best I can. Doctor's opinion says the alcoholic life seems the only normal, right? See, in my head, this life that I've created, the things that I'm doing in my life, the understanding, the hurting people, the divorce, the marriages, everything that I've done in my life, the criminal activity, everything that has happened that I've done in my life, these all seem to make sense to me while I'm in it. it makes sense to me to go to work, spend my money at the go spend my money with the gym shoe boys. Go spend my money with the people with their pants sagging, right? Go spend my money at the bars and the gym meal. It made sense for me to take my work money to be okay, to just balance and not feel, and then go steal to try and pay bills and still use that for chaos and confusion. All this stuff made sense to me. It made sense for me to drink all night and then drive home and don't know how I got there. My life was always like a newspaper. And I know we have the internet today, so we don't have newspapers anymore. But I remember growing up, I used to always read every day. I'm a nerd. I didn't used to be. I still am. And I'm okay with that. And I don't let nobody make me feel bad about that anymore. I grew up and I used to always feel bad about being smart. I used to always feel bad about, and I'm no longer do I feel that way. It takes all the intellect that I need, that I have, that I can muster for my life to change. I need understanding. I need education. I am no longer feeling. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and it was at another meeting, and somebody said something that when you hear it, it sounds like it made sense, but it's so stupid when you actually research the information. They said, "Yeah, I know Einstein will miss it, but Bozo will get it." Well, Einstein dropped out at the sixth grade level. Einstein, just because of the time and the days that everything he thought and said and did were so far ahead of anything else, he was just considered to be a genius, right? But he dropped out in sixth grade. I'm from Chicago. Bozo was college educated. I was on the Bozo show, right? I threw the buckets. Everybody loves going on the Bozo show, right? So when here's one that has all the education, here one that doesn't have it, but everybody thinks he's educated, right? So I don't buy into all that stuff no more today. And man, listen, be smart. If you're new to Alcoholics Anonymous, if you're new to any of these fellowships, let your intellect guide you, but let it guide you through the example of somebody who's already done this work. That's why we're here. That's why we get this understanding. That's why we do that. Steve, I love you. That's why the Big Book Compendium does what it does, right? Always giving information. We don't sit around, because listen, if a mere code of morals or a better philosophy of life were sufficient, many of us would have sobered long ago. I wouldn't need this. We wouldn't need to show up and do this. We wouldn't need to learn from each other. We wouldn't. And that thing about, well, it's just about one alcoholic talking to another. No, I need information, because see, I can go talk to drunks that's still drinking, right? See, I can go talk to a drunk that's still drinking, and that's an alcoholic talking to another. I ain't gonna get no help from there. But you guys have put the plug in the jug. You're finding a better solution to life. You're giving me some examples. You're telling me how my life can change if I follow these few simple rules. Yeah. But see, I want to come in and change things. I want to tell you all this information don't mean nothing, and it don't take all that. And actually it do. Let me tell you right here. It says, page 55 of the 12 and 12. It says, all of A's 12 steps ask us to go contrary to our natural desire. They all deflate our ego. When it comes to ego deflation, few steps are harder to take than 5. But scarcely, listen to this, y'all, now listen up. Scarcely any step is more necessary to long-time sobriety and peace of mind than this one. Wow. See, I don't just want to not drink. I don't want to just have long-time sobriety. It says, and peace of mind. My sponsor says, just putting the plug in the jug just ain't enough. He said there was more to my drinking than just bending my elbow, so there's more to my sobriety than just not drinking. Page 19 of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous says that elimination of our drinking is but a beginning. A much more important demonstration of our principles lies before us in our respective homes, occupations, and affairs. And why would it say homes first? Right? Because that's where the people get on my nerves the most, right? Them the people that really make me thirsty, don't they? Right? Them people that's in my house, them little short people they call kids, right? That I be wanting to just choke, right? Or the husband or the wife or the girlfriend or the boyfriend or the whatever. Those are the people that disturb me the most. Those are the people that make me want to run out the house, always talking about I need a meeting. I don't, now, this might sound crazy to somebody. When stuff's going on in my house, I don't have to run to a meeting. I don't have to run away from my house. I don't have to run away from the people that are around me. I need to, you guys have shown me how to face my reality today. You guys have shown me how to practice these principles in my home. Wow. Experience has taught us we cannot live alone with our pressing problems and the character defects which caused or aggravated them. See, that's what I want to do. See, I want to, when I'm agitated or angry or upset, I'm frustrated or something bothers me, I just want y'all to get away from me. I don't want to have to deal with it. I want to go somewhere and complain about it. I just want to go somewhere and talk about it. I want to come to a meeting and share. I want to come to a meeting and just get it off my chest. I want to come to, like, no. I'm glad I came into around a group of people. They didn't allow that. That was not allowed. You came and talked about a problem in Alcoholics Anonymous. We gave you a solution to it. And I still work that way with the people I sponsor right now to this day. I don't sit and if you, I 12 and 12 says we talk about problem because we're problem people who have found a way up and out and would like to share that knowledge with those who can use it. And here we share knowledge with those who can use the solution of up and out. Right here in the fifth step in the 12 and 12, it's going to share some, and I don't know where is it? It's in it. Trust me, it's in here. It's in the 12 and 12. It's in step 5. It says that we talk to somebody so we can get that direct comment and counsel to our situation. Direct comment and counsel to our situation. But people like to come in and say, well, I don't know, and I just can't. I know. And I'm not going to let nobody tell me I don't know. I have had the tried and tested experience to tell somebody else how they can escape the ringer. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here for you to tell me about your stuff and I just sit and listen and say, oh, well, just pray about it. Just ask God to. That's not what listen, I need you to tell me what to do. That's what my sponsor does for me in my life. When I go to him with a problem, when I go to him with something that's so distressing and pressing in my life, he gives me a way out. We don't sit around and talk and he just say, well, I don't know. He gives me, page 15 of the 12 and 12 says the 12 steps are a group of principles, spiritual in their nature, which if practiced as a way of life can expel the obsession to drink and enable the sufferer to become happily and usefully whole. That's what this stuff does for me. That's what I need. It doesn't say it'll do it for Ali. It doesn't say it'll do it for Kicking. It doesn't say it'll do it for Emma. It doesn't say it'll do it for Tom. It says it expel the obsession to drink and enable the sufferer. Anyone who suffers from this very crippling disease, if I practice this as a way of life, it will change that. Man, listen. After I've written an inventory, I get so excited about this stuff, man. It's so much. It's so much, right? But let me tell you how simple step 5, step 4, and 5 are, right? I know I'm talking about step 5 today, but the inventorying process is really simple, which I'm going to talk about in step 5. And what happened when the inventory process came along, people want to write out their entire life story, right? Because it says that. It says until we told somebody our entire life story, right? Well, here in the big book, page 72, it says, this is perhaps difficult, especially discussing our defects with another person. We think we have done well enough in admitting these things to ourselves. There is doubt. There's doubt about that. In actual practice, we usually find a solitary self-appraisal insufficient. Wow. So, see, I don't know if you guys have ever owned a home or live in a house or have something that you've had to have appraised, right? See, I might think my home is, and we were just talking about Steve, we were just talking about the real estate in California, and back in, he was just talking about what his parents purchased their house for back in 1971 and what it's worth now. Now, I might buy something or purchase a home and I think it's worth $300,000. But a person who's actually certified in appraising home, that's my sponsor. My sponsor, because he has had the tried tested experience with these 12 steps, he's certified in helping me appraise my life. That's sponsorship. Wow. Now, my grand sponsor was a woman. My sponsor had a female sponsor his entire sobriety. That's why we don't, that men and men and women and women. And the young lady that I just did a fifth step with the other day, I was able to sit, listen, and talk. It wasn't about judgment. It was about understanding the patterns in her behavior. That's what my sponsor did for me. Understanding patterns in my behavior. That's why when I told him my entire life story of resentment, fears, my entire life story of harms that I've done to others, and my entire life story of my sexual conduct, right? I didn't have to sit around and tell him about how I would, have I been through some tragic things? Absolutely. I've been molested as a kid, right? I was molested by my uncle and my babysitter. Are those the things of the reason why I'm an alcoholic? Absolutely not. That's stuff that happened to me. I have family members that experienced the same thing. They're not alcoholics. Right now, I love to, and I'm not discounting the tragedy and the experiences that we have go on in our lives. I'm an alcoholic because I drank too much. I'm an alcoholic because I was drinking, trying to escape the reality of the feelings that were going on within me. That's why I'm here. That's why I need the 12 steps, right? So here it says, if we skip this vital step, we may not overcome drinking. Oh, warning, Will Rogers, warning, 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 right? Anybody ever watched Lost in Space? Right? Warning, Will Rogers, warning, 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 right? And this stuff doesn't take forever, right? And I do this. I've been sober over 22 years, and every year I do a fourth and a fifth step. Every year. Now I know some people say, well, I do one and that's it. That's why I got a 10th step. Nope. Because there's some stuff that I haven't immediately got on top of over the course of the year. So I have to do an inventory on that stuff. And then I sit down and take the time out to actually talk to my sponsor about it. So here it says, time after time, newcomers have tried to keep to themselves certain facts about their lives, trying to avoid this humbling experience. They have turned to easier methods. Almost invariably, they got drunk. Having persevered with the rest of the program, they wonder why they failed. I hear this happens all the time where people say that I hear this happens all the time where people say well, man, I worked the 12 steps. I came in, I worked the steps, and I end up relapsing. We think the reason that they never completed their house cleaning, they took inventory all right, but they hung on to some of the worst items in stock. They only thought they had lost their egoism and fear. They only thought they had humbled themselves, but they had not learned enough of humility, fearlessness, and honesty in the sense we find it necessary until they told someone else all their life story. Man, there's so many instructions in here, man. It's so much stuff. I had some stuff that was going on in my life that kept me in continuously fear. See, it wasn't the resentments and the anger. In the big book, it says resentment was the number one offender. It didn't say it was the only offender. It said resentment was the number one. See, sometimes I can get lost in that. Fear was the biggest offender in my life. See, it was so many things that kept me in so much fear, so much misunderstanding, so much chaos, so much disconnect, right? I did not want to talk about. I was afraid to talk about things. But something happened to me. I got this understanding. I watch you sisters and brothers tell me how loving and kind and I watch you guys talk about things that experiences that I thought were tragic and crazy and all these things that you guys told me that you had overcame. I remember hearing my sponsor talk about one of the biggest things that attracted me to my sponsor. He was given a lead one time and I was probably sober about 7-8 months, and he said that he had an experience. He said he was drinking, and it was a guy at his job that used to always try and come on to him. He said, this guy liked guys. And he said, and I didn't like guys. He said, and the guy tried to come on to him, and he told the guy, he said, he deepened his voice. He said, I don't play that, right? and he said, the guy told him, wait till you drink. He found himself later on in a position. He said he found himself waking up butt naked with a guy, and he didn't have the luxury of a blackout to explain. See, I'm here to tell you, I'll do anything to try and get the necessary things that I need to escape my life. I'll sleep with a hippomarilla, right? See, it don't matter. Yeah, hippomarilla kicking, right? That's anything, right? See, I'll find myself in positions with people doing things I never thought I would do just to escape the reality of my life because I don't like the way I feel on the inside. There's an African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. The enemy is the enemy that's in me. I'm my own enemy. I'm the only thing that can make me implode. Nothing outside of me has the power to do anything to me unless I allow it. I no longer allow those things to have power with me today. And it's only because I've been able to get honest with somebody in my life and tell him my entire life story. There's other people in my life today that know a lot about me. There's people that I sponsor. I sponsor men and women. And when we go through our inventory process, there's secrets and things that and let me tell you this. Somebody will say, yeah, we only sick as our secret, right? I don't tell everybody everything. It's not your business. and let me tell you guys, it's not everybody's business in Alcoholics Anonymous to know your business. It says we tell our stories in a general way. But what I do need to do is find somebody that in whom that I trust, that knows everything about me. So when they see me getting into those patterns of behavior, they can help me to escape. Because see, I'll do something that I won't tell anybody about, and I'll feel so bad about it, I can't talk about it, and my feelings and my mind will only let me feel bad for so long till they're going to look for a solution. The solution I'm used to before the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous is drugs and alcohol. And if I haven't opened up and shared these things with anybody or anything, I'm going to drink again. Because my mind is going to hurt so bad, my emotions are going to tell me we need to find a way to escape. We need to, because I can't tell anybody. Yeah. So I need to get honest. And one of the other things is, and not just honesty, because this is the thing. What have I done for this connection? See, because you guys tell me and here's the Trinity, right? In this. So I believe in the spirit of the universe. I believe that I'm connected to the spirit of the universe. I believe I'm only connected to the spirit of the universe through sisters and brothers like you. I believe that's the only way I get my connection. Nothing outside of you guys, nothing outside of me. Page 55 in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous says that deep down inside every man, woman, and child is the fundamental idea of God. It says it may be obscured by calamity, by pomp, or worship of other things, but in some form or other, it is there. That's that voice that's down inside of me when I'm getting ready to do something that's going to make me feel like I need to take a drink, right? It says, don't go over there. Don't do that. See, I'm always saying to myself after I'm sitting in the back of the police car or after I'm in my third or fourth treatment, I'm always saying to myself, I should have listened to my first mind, right? Right. I should have listened to my first mind after I got the handcuffs on, or after I'm in the straitjacket, or after my wife says leave, or after my wife says I want a divorce, or after the job says you're fired. After I know all these things inside me. I have the innate ability to understand and tap into these things, but because I feel so bad about who I am, I'm not able to attach and understand it. But guess what you guys did to me? I've got a couple of last few things I'm going to say and shut up and we can, you guys can comment or ask questions or however we do this. One of the first things is my sponsor gave me this thing called the 4 S's, right? The first S is sobriety for my body. So Bill says sobriety first, last, and always, right? I must stay sober first, right? Without sobriety, there's nothing else that I can do, right? So that's what, and doctor's opinion says that we favor hospitalization for the man who's very generally of a fall, but then he has a better chance of accepting and understanding what we have to offer. Second S, sanity for my mind. So understanding these, coming through these steps to step two and understanding this, how insane my life was, how insane the things that I did that made me live a life that required drinking. So today I need sanity for my mind, because I'll be insane without a drink. That's why I drank, because of the insane things that I did that I could not talk to anybody about because I felt too ashamed about it. I felt too disconnected, right? It was so much fear around me. So I need sanity for my mind. The third S is stability for my emotion. Fourth step in the 12 and 12 says we're victimized by erratic emotion. Bill talks about it in step 10. He says, can we stay sober, keeping emotional balance, and live the good purpose under all conditions, right? I need stability for my emotions. Because when I have stability for my emotions don't overtake me and then help my mind to conspire against me to get drunk again. And then because of those first three S's, and sisters and brothers like you guys I've been given serenity for my soul. That's my last S. That's through the 12 steps. That's through connecting to this source. That's when opening up, sharing myself with somebody, what step 5 is asking me to do. And then the last thing I want to share is my great-grand sponsor, James Willis Hodges, used to always say this poem. And I never really understood it when I first heard it. And I would hear him say it over and over again. And he would say, because I heard him call God she. I say, oh, he going to hell, right? But then you guys told me I can, as long as I can choose whatever conception, as long as it makes sense to me, right? And he died 60 plus years sober. And that was he called God she. I say, Jimmy, why do you call God she? He said, well, when I think about the love of God, I think about my mother. No matter what I did, no matter how bad I was, my mother was always loving, kind, and understanding. And my mother gave birth to me. It says that I'm created in the likeness, the image of my creator. My mother created me. She breathed life into me. That was God to me. I said, wow. And then he used to always say this poem. He said, I sought my God I could not see. I sought my soul eluded me. When I sought my brothers and sisters, I found all three. I am so glad that my connection to sisters and brothers like you have helped me find my connection to God. And that's what the fifth step is saying. Admit it to God, to ourselves, and another human being. It's the only way I get freedom. Thank you guys for helping me find all three. I love you. My name is Lavelle Deshaun Johnson. Senior. I'll keep coming back.